Seven
straight wins against Georgia. That's dating back to 07. Matthew Stafford, Knowshon Moreno were the last players to help Georgia beat Alabama.
Moreno. Stafford.
Alabama beats Georgia by the same score, 41-24, second straight season. New favorites to win the national championship at plus 115. They opened the day at plus 650. Bryce Young, he won the Heisman. Let's listen to the celebration post-game.
You've won a lot of games, you've won a lot of conference titles, but this team is special. They faced a lot of challenges this year. So what does it mean to be on this stage with this group of guys?
Well, for this team to show the resiliency that they've shown all year makes this so special. I mean, winning a game as we did last week, playing a game today to the level that most people probably didn't think we could. I'm really proud of this bunch. They've showed tremendous ability to overcome adversity all year long.
You've coached a lot of quarterbacks. Where does Bryce Young rank on your list?
He's right up there. We've had some good ones lately, but he played great tonight. He's played great for us all year long, and he's a great person and a great leader on our team. So it's great to have him leading us.
Congratulations, Coach. Hey, Bryce, Mr. MVP. You're wearing this jersey, you're looking at these fans, you're celebrating with your teammates. What does this moment feel like now that you're standing with this trophy in your hand?
It's a tremendous blessing. All glory to God and thanks to Him for making this possible. To have the support we have from the fans, we're truly grateful for you guys. We love you. For me to have the teammates I do, the coaches I do, I'm just blessed. So it's just a real moment for me.
I want to ask your two teammates a question right here. Is this a Heisman winner in your opinion?
Yeah, it is. In my opinion, it is. Mr. Heisman himself, baby. Did you see what he did tonight? All day, Did you see what he did tonight? That's a Heisman.
Will, you are a Georgia native. How does it feel to win this game against this team?
It feels great, man. This is a dream come true. I love it here. Roll Tide!
Phil, you celebrated senior night a couple weeks ago, and this is one more accomplishment for you. Where does this one rank?
Oh, it feels so good, man. I love everybody on the team. We're going to keep stacking. Got to go back to work.
Rinse and repeat. That's what Alabama is trying to do. Won the national championship last season. Crushed Ohio State. You know who won the Heisman last year? Devontae Smith. You know who's going to win the Heisman this year? Bryce Young. They're about to win another national championship as Bryce Young sets the SEC championship game record with 421 passing yards. What do I say to that? Have a day, kid. Let's get right to the site. Let's get back out to Atlanta. Wherever he goes, there is chaos. His name is Josh Pate. He is joined by Barrett Sallee. Barrett Sallee also witnesses a lot of chaos there in Atlanta. He saw the Braves win the World Series. So now you see Alabama march back into Atlanta, where basically they own that city. They're playing Sweet Home Alabama over the speakers there in Atlanta. What the heck happened, Josh, in that game?
I'm looking at the box score right now, and I'm telling you, sometimes I use the term padlock stat on late kick, and if you tell me, Barrett, that Alabama is going to outrush Georgia on fewer rushing attempts, mind you, when that's going to be the Achilles heel coming in here, that would be a padlock stat. I would feel pretty good about Bama's chances. If you say -2 turnovers for Georgia, I'd feel pretty good. But my goodness, what an effort from Bryce Young. And it was after a week where we pretty much knew run game, maybe non-existent. And I got to be honest, standing down there, latter portion of first half, and then they score again to start the second half, I found myself saying, could it be that being forced into a corner and not thinking they could run the ball actually benefited this team? Because that game plan you saw play to perfection, that's what they had to do all week.
Yeah, it's interesting, too. The most important two stats of the game, 0, as in 0 sacks allowed, 4, as in 4 tackles for loss allowed. Alabama came in with 85 tackles for loss allowed, the worst mark in the SEC. So naturally, they only allow 4 to the best defense this generation. I mean, it was a remarkable turnaround because that's not the same team that we've seen all year long. So my impression of Alabama has gone from, okay, if they win, they're going to get run over, to that's the best team in the country right now.
They are indeed the best team in the country because Georgia played its worst defensive game of the season, and now Alabama will get a chance to defend its national championship as they just absolutely wiped the floor with the Dogs. I mean, consider this. They gave up 30 points in the entire month of November. and they give a 41 on the first day, the first Saturday in December. I'm sitting here and I'm beside myself because, look, I guess I could see the mystique and the upset happening, but the fact that Bryce Young picked apart the defense, the offensive line was stout, giving Bryce Young time to throw, the big play after big play. Like if you had told me that Jameson Williams was going to have 2 touchdown catches over 55 yards after what we saw last week against Auburn when Bryce Young was sacked 7 times, this looked like a different team, Barrett.
Yeah, it did, and I think Georgia's secondary really was surprised, too, because I think Georgia's secondary thought this was going to be a lot easier in terms of covering downfield because they thought that Jordan Davis would get into the backfield and some of these other Nolan Smith would get into the backfield. And in the second quarter, when they scored 24 points, the most in any quarter in SEC championship game history, it was like the secondary was completely lost. Christopher Smith was all over the place. Same thing with Lewis Cine. They had no idea how to react because it almost felt like they did not expect this to happen. They felt like they were going to get a lot more help up front, and they did not get it.
They started to bleed, Hakeem, and it's not something Georgia's done all year. I mean, going back to week 1, that's the last time that there was a game even remotely in doubt. And what we kind of talked about over the past couple of weeks is Bama had to knife fight their way past Arkansas. They had to knife fight their way past Auburn. Were they going to be battle-tested or battered? I mean, they were battered. This is a banged-up team now. Make no mistake. They came in here hobbled. But, boy, you could tell the battle-tested nature of Alabama.
It came through.
It played out, and when Georgia started to taste that blood in the second quarter, I mean, I'm not saying they wilted because they answered periodically, but
they had chances, but
it was Bama's second half.
Nick Saban now 4-0 against his former assistant, Kirby Smart. They won 4 national championships together during their time in Tuscaloosa. They could meet again in the college football playoff. Josh, what are the takeaways? What are the lessons here for the Dogs?
I think the first takeaway, and the thing that will be talked about ad nauseum following this one, is what are we doing at quarterback? Because Hakeem, Barrett, we sat outside this venue, it seems like 10 or 11 hours ago, but we stood outside pregame, and we talked about the difference with Stetson Bennett, having only had to throw the ball out of luxury. And could Alabama make him throw the ball out of necessity today? And when they did, you had a pick. When they also did, you had a turnover on downs, both of those possessions in plus territory. I thought that turned the game. That was a sequence that turned the game. And so moving forward, you know, you're going to have a lot of question about JT Daniels. Look, the retort from the Georgia side would be, we've been playing the guy who gives us the best chance to win. And up until this point, I'll grant you they have. But this wasn't close.
No,
today.
It wasn't. And it's interesting, too, because I was watching JT Daniels walk up and down the sideline in the second half without a helmet on. So it was clear that he was not going in. But yet he'd go out in the field between TV timeouts and start throwing to make you he wanted to go in. There was no doubt that he looked at the situation and he knew that he was the guy that could save this, and he didn't get the chance. And I think you're right. They have to go back to the drawing board. And look, maybe they do put Stetson Bennett as a starter because he can make things happen on the ground. We've seen the mailman deliver consistently through the air and on the ground. But if they have to throw out of necessity, it's a problem with Stetson Bennett, and that's not something that you can fix over a 4-week period because he's going to face defenses that, quite honestly, might be better than the one that we saw back here because they are a little bit of a susceptible in the secondary, Alabama is. So I do think they have to go back to the drawing board. They have to let JT prove if he is or isn't capable of taking that spot because they needed him tonight. And Kirby, I thought that in the second half, maybe early in the fourth quarter, when JT started warming up, it was like, okay, maybe he's going to do it. Maybe he's going to pull the trigger. But look, in this building, we've seen 2 big moves by the best coach of all time, Nick Saban. 1, putting in Tua. 2, putting in Jalen. Kirby Smart had that chance. Kirby Smart didn't take it.
He did not, and it is Roll Tide once again as Alabama wins the SEC championship 41-24 over Georgia. Josh Pate, Barrett Sallee, break it down for us here on CBS Sports HQ. Thank you, man. Great work, as always, there in Atlanta. And for more awesome content, check out The Late Kick with Josh Pate, delivering college football the way you want it, behind-the-scenes whispers and intel thanks to a network of team insiders, game breakdowns, and rapid reaction. Join Josh 3 times a week on YouTube, 8 Eastern Time. You can also listen to the podcast version as well. The Late Kick with Josh Pate.